What's good, folks? It's your boy Dookie back again with B.A.N.G budget and new gear reviews to get the best bang for your tech dollars. Now, this is a video series. I apologize. It's been completely on me. I have not kept up on. This is where we do our monthly build suggestions. Now, I started it back a couple months ago with a build video centered around a Ryzen 3 1300X, but like I said in that video, I won't be building every suggestion that I make to you guys. You've seen other YouTubers do this where they'll put together a build every month. You know, you got to remember, a lot of those guys have parts just coming in. They open their door, brand new GPU. You know, we're doing this off the strength. We're doing this off the love. So what I want you to do is in the comments, leave recommendations for what kind of PC you'd be interested in, whether you want an all RGB system or the ultimate gaming system, the sleeper, HT-PC for the living room, whatever. Now, off the last video, somebody suggested I make a video editing PC. Now, if you've seen the title of the thumbnail, we have two systems, the budget friendly and the budget beast. Whether you're just getting into video editing and you want to get started maybe with a YouTube channel, but you still want to save some money, that's what the budget friendly machine is. Then we have the budget beast, where it's like, okay, I want to go to the next level, but I'm not going all the way. So let's get into the budget friendly machine, check it out, and let you know what I mean. Oh, before we go any further, I want to give a lot of shout out to a certain subreddit, Build a PC Video Editing. I believe it started by Leandrock76. If you go over there, ask him a question, he's more than likely going to reply with his thoughts and opinions to help you out, help you get started putting the PC together. He's got a wiki right here. This wiki on the side has a lot of information that I'm going to leave a link to below. Like, you should just, if you're looking to build a PC, especially for video editing, I suggest giving it a glance over and just understanding some of the things that help separate a video editing PC versus just a gaming system, which most builds are geared towards. So where we get started with our actual builds, we have the budget friendly, and I have that centered around the Ryzen 5 1600 6-core processor. Now, a lot of you know I've actually built with this CPU. It's great for editing, streaming, multitasking. You can find it under $200. It's a pretty good, you know, thing to do. Now, the Ryzen 5 1600 does come with the cooler, which honestly is pretty good. Now, motherboard wise, you could go with the B350, still overclock it, get a lot of good functionality. But one of the things that will help you here with video editing is going with the 370. You get a few more PCIe lanes and more SATA options. So I went with the MSI X370 Gaming Plus ATX AM4 motherboard. It's got a lot of features built right into it. You should be good to go right off the board. We don't even have to go too much farther. Now, as for RAM prices, it's a crazy time to build a PC because certain parts are just nuts, and RAM is one of them. DDR4 prices have not yet come down, and I think for video editing, you want to go no lower than 16 gigabytes. I would say 32 is the sweet spot, but we'll address that later. And I found this kit of two 8 gigabyte sticks from Team Dark for $139.99. Some good, cheap memory that just to get you started. Now, if you look down here for storage, you'll see I have 3 drives. And I think that's because one of the main things I see, you know, when people are putting together their systems and they say video editing is their main focus, they don't think about how their drives are set up. In my opinion, I think you need at least 3 drives for video editing. You want to have one fast SSD just for your OS and installing all of your programs. Then you want to have ideally an M.2 or really like something like NVMe or something really fast storage just for your working footage. That means whatever project you're currently working on, you put that on there, and your cache, your media cache, especially if you're working in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, I also add in a storage drive, and this could be a regular 3.5 hard drive or whatever hard drive you have with a lot of space. So what I did right here is shout out to the homies from Drivo. I went with the Drivo 120 gigabyte solid state drive. You can get these pretty cheap. I actually have a couple in some machines here. I did a review on them. You know, they're pretty solid drives. Now this drive right here is, like I said, for your working files and your media cache. I went with the Western Digital Blue 250 gigabyte M.2 solid state drive. Now you can definitely go with a faster drive. The faster that you can afford in your budget, I would suggest you go with it. This should be enough, especially if you're working in 1080p or very, very light 4K, whether it's like phone files or, you know, you're editing footage from an iPhone or things like that. You should be good to go. I also added in this 2 terabyte Barracuda drive. These are pretty solid drives, get a lot of space, and it's easy enough to just keep getting some of these or eventually upgrade to like a RAID or a NAS box. Now right here we go to graphics card. A graphics card is another place where people they focus more on the gaming aspect than what it actually does for video editing. Now, like I said, I'm going to leave a link to this wiki right here, but if you come down here, what's the best budget CPU? He gives you a lot of information that should let you get started on the right path looking for a graphics card for your video editing machine. I went with the MSI GTX 1050 Ti. For your video editing purposes, this should be all you need. Case-wise, I went with the Rosewill TYRFING. I don't even really know how to say it, but it's a pretty cheap case. It actually looks pretty good. You know, and Rosewill is known to have some good quality products for the low. And I finished it out with this Rosewill 500 watt, 80 plus bronze certified semi-modular ATX power supply. So right here, if you come look at my total build, price is about $893. You still have money to invest in maybe a budget monitor, getting the software that you're looking for. Now, like I said, this is a good path to get started on a budget, building a machine, and maybe upgrading and having a good path for upgrade later on down the line. Alright, now we're on to our second PC build. This is the one that I have dubbed Budget Beast. Like I said, this is not one of those overkill $5,000, $10,000 PC builds where people just go select all the most expensive parts, throw it in there. What I tried to do was get you started on a new architecture that leaves you area to grow. So if you're looking to take your editing to the next level, if you purchased a new camera, you know, things like that, and you really want to get into it, this system should definitely help you out to get started. Now, what we did is we focused this around the AMD Threadripper 1900X. Like I said, this is the low version of Threadripper, but it still gives you that Threadripper technology. Now, ideally, you could go with a Ryzen 7 series, overclock it and get some similar performance to the 1900X, but because the motherboards are different in the Threadripper series, if you decide, okay, I want to go up from my Ryzen 7, you're going to have to reinvest in a new motherboard. They're pretty expensive. So at this point, you can get the Threadripper, you get the motherboard, and now your upgrade path is either the 1920 or the 1950. Now what we have here is the 1900X, 3.8 gigahertz. It's an 8-core processor. You can overclock that, get some more power out of that, you know. My understanding is that with the Threadripper, it doesn't come with the cooler. But you gotta think, you get that ability with Threadripper to get quad channel DDR4, so that's much better. You get more PCIe lanes, you get a bigger cache memory than just with the Ryzen 7. The cooler that I decided to go with was this Fractal Design Celsius S24 liquid CPU cooler. Now, with Threadripper being so new, there are a lot of companies that are trying to bring out new adequate coolers to help keep those temps down. Heard good things about this cooler, so that's what we made for this choice right here on this build. Now, motherboard, there's still not a lot of options for Threadripper, but one that I decided to go with was the MSI X399 Gaming Pro Carbon. You should have some like RGB effects. You have those 8 slots of DDR4 memory, that quad channel memory, and if you decide to update to one of the other Threadripper chips, you'll already be good to go. For memory here, this is where you take that next step. Now, ideally, you want to get 64. You want to just pack this thing with memory, but memory is pretty expensive. So like I said, right here we have 32 gigabytes of Corsair Dominator Platinum. It's pretty solid memory. It's not the fastest, but it should still be good enough, and you should be able to get some overclocking in there as well. Now back to drives. Like I said, you want to start with at least 3 drives. You want an SSD for your main OS and your application installation. You want an M.2 or something even faster for your media cache and your working files. Now what I did on my main system is I took 2 SSDs that are pretty fast on their own, ran them in RAID 0 for increased speed, and I used that for my media cache and my working file system. Everything flows. I can edit at full resolution. I don't have to bump things down to quarter resolution, things like that. So that's definitely something to think about. So what I have here for the main storage drive, I have the Samsung 850 EVO 250 gigabyte SSD. You can't go wrong with one of those, man. They're pretty solid. Now for the second drive, I have this Western Digital Black 512 gigabyte M.2 solid state drive. Whatever project you're working on at the moment, this is for that. You put your working files on there and your media cache. Then to back it up, I got this 4 terabyte Western Digital Blue solid drive. You know, if you're a data hoarder, you know, and you just don't like deleting files, this is where you keep them. You do your edit, move everything over here. Now you got your data stored. Now, the problem with graphics cards is that they're still pretty expensive. The bit mining craze is not going anywhere. People thought it was stopping. It's not. Cards aren't as ridiculous as they used to be, but they're still not, you know, MSRP. So that's something you have to think about. You know, if you thought you were getting a 1070 for under 400, maybe not, but the prices are not as bad as they used to be. So one of the cards that I think is a pretty good card for editing, you can do other things with it. You will be able to game on it. You will be able to do any other thing on your system with this card, is the 1070 Asus GeForce 1070. That's that STRIX. Definitely check that out. Now, the case wise, one of the best cases I've seen. Like, this is a very pretty case. It's a classic case. I've seen so many builds in this case. Is the NZXT S340 in black. I actually will be picking one of these up for a particular build I wanted to do. I just think the look fits what I want, so I'm gonna go with that. Round it out with the power supply. I got a 750 watt 80 plus gold Supernova G2 from EVGA, fully modular. You know, you got your black cables. You'll be good to go. Alright folks, those were my suggestions for budget friendly and budget beast. Like I said, I'm sure you have come up with your own suggestions, your own changes or whatever. So if you see something and you're just like, no, that's crazy, I don't like that, leave a comment down below letting me know what you would change. Let me know how you like it. Also, let me know what your recommendations are for future build videos. We're going to be building. I want to know what you guys want. Do you want music editing PC? Do you want a gaming PC? What do you want? The options are endless. I need you guys to let me know down in the comments. It's your Kinfo Dookie. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Make sure you holler at your boy.